Hi guys, good day. It's me, Teacher MJ. Our topic for today class is all about the factors of the difference of two squares. So without further ado, let's do this topic. Now if you have this kind of expression class, you have a squared minus b squared, in which your first term is a perfect square. So once again, our first term is a perfect square. And then your second term is also a perfect square. Therefore, class, you can get the answer right away with regards to the factors by just simply putting two parentheses and then simply get the square root of the first term, the square root of a squared, there would be a, so put two a's. And then simply get the square root of the second term, the square root of b squared, there would be b, so put two b's. And then put plus and minus sign. That's it, class. This is the answer, class, with regards to this given expression. So that's why we have quantity a plus b and another quantity a minus b. So let's have example number 1, class, for you to really understand this one. So our given, we have x squared minus 36. Now first question, is x squared a perfect square? Yup, x squared is a perfect square. How about 36? Is 36 a perfect square? Yup, 36 is a perfect square. So therefore, we need to put two parentheses. Alright, and then simply get the square root of the first term, the square root of x squared, that would be x, so put 2x. And then the square root of 36, that would be 6, so put 6. And then put plus and minus sign. That's it, class. That's the answer, class, with regards to example number 1. Even if you apply, class, the FOIL method, I'm sure, class, you will get this answer. So therefore, the factor of this given expression, that would be x plus 6 and then x minus 6. Even if you apply the FOIL method, class, I'm sure, class, you will get this answer. So therefore, the answer, that would be quantity x plus 6 and then x minus 6. Alright, so let's have example number 2. Our given, we have 9x squared minus 16. So once again, class, first step, you check first the given expressions. Is 9x squared a perfect square? Yup, 9 is a perfect square, and then x squared is also a perfect square. How about 16? Yup, 16 is a perfect square. So therefore, we need to put two parentheses. Alright, and then get the square root of the first term, the square root of 9x squared. So the square root of 9, that would be 3. So put two 3's. And then the square root of x squared, that would be x. Alright, and then get the square root of the second term, the square root of 16, that would be 4. So put two 4's. And then plus minus sign. That's it, class. That's the answer, class, with regards to example number 2. Very easy, right? For example number 2. So our answer, we have 3x plus 4. The other one, we have 3x minus 4. So once again, class, even if you apply the FOIL method, I'm sure, class, when you multiply this one using the FOIL method, you will get this answer, class. Okay? Alright, so let's have example number 3. So once again, class, first step, you always check, class, if the first term is a perfect square and the second term is a perfect square. Because in example number 5, class, check this one out, class. Example number 5 and then example number 7, our given first term is not a perfect square. 48 is not a perfect square. So what will be the thing that we need to do if you have given example like this? So we will explain that later on. So example number 3, our given, we have 4x squared minus 25. Alright, so is 4 a perfect square? Yup, 4 is a perfect square. How about x squared? Yup, x squared is a perfect square. So we need to put two parentheses. Alright, and then simply get the square root of the first term, the square root of 4, that would be 2. So put 2. Alright, and then the square root of x squared, that would be x. So put 2x. Alright, and then the square root of the second term, the square root of 25, that would be 5. So 5 and then 5. And then plus and minus sign. That's it, class. That's the answer, class, with regards to example number 3. Now, question, class, what if I write this way? This 2x minus 5 comes first. And then the other expression, that would be 2x plus 5. Now, question, is this the same? Is your answer correct? Yup, class, this is just the same, class. As long as you have one plus and then one minus sign. As long as you have plus and minus sign. Even if you apply the FOIL method, class, I'm sure, class, you will have the same answer. So as long as you have one plus and then one minus sign. So plus minus sign, plus minus sign. Alright, so this is the answer. With regards to example number 3, our answer, we have 2x plus 5. The other one, 2x minus 5. Alright, so let's proceed now to example number 4. Our given, we have 16 minus 9y squared. Alright, so our first term is a perfect square. Yup, 16 is a perfect square. How about 9? Yup, 9 is a perfect square. Y squared, yup, y squared is a perfect square. So we need to put 2 parentheses and simply get the square root of the first term, the square root of 16, that would be 4. Simply get the square root of the second term, the square root of 9, that would be 3. The square root of y squared, that would be y. So we have 3y. Once again, plus the square root of 9, that would be 3. The square root of y squared, that would be y. So we have 3y and then 3y and then put plus and minus sign. That's it, plus. So the answer, we have 4 plus 3y. The other one, we have 4 minus 3y. Alright, so let's proceed now to example number 5. Alright, so let's proceed now to example number 5. Our given, we have 48 x cubed minus 12x. So check this one out, guys. With regards to example number 5, our given first term is not a perfect square. 48 is not a perfect square. Same with x cubed. X cubed is not a perfect square. 12 is not a perfect square. And then x is not a perfect square. Now, if you have example like this, class, the thing that you need to do is you need to factor this out by getting the greatest common factor. So let's start with a number. What would be the greatest common factor of 48 and 12? You find a number, class, in which that number is divisible by 48 and divisible by 12. That number, class, can be divided by 48. That number can be divided by 12. It must be common, class. Greatest common factor. What's the answer, class? That's correct. It should be 12, right? Can we divide 48 by 12? Yup. 48 divided by 12, that would be 4, right? Next question, can we divide 12 by 12? Yup. We can divide 12 by 12. 12 divided by 12, that would be equal to 1. So therefore, the greatest common factor with regards to the number 48 and 12, that would be 12. And then for the variable, class, just select the variable with the least degree. Select the variable with the least exponent. So we have x raised to the power of 1. So therefore, we will be selecting x. So therefore, once again, class, the greatest common factor, that would be 12x. We can divide 48 by 12. We can also divide 12 by 12. Now, for the variable, select the variable with the least exponent, with the least degree. So therefore, we will be selecting x. So therefore, the greatest common factor of 48x cubed minus 12x, that would be 12x. And then simply divide this one, put open parentheses, simply divide 48 divided by 12. Once again, class, 48x cubed divided by 12x. 48 divided by 12, that would be 4. X cubed divided by x. Understood that there's 1 here. Same base, copy x. Subtract the exponent 3 minus 1, that would be 2. So that would be 4x squared. Alright, and then this one, 12x divide 12x. So 12x divide 12x, that would be negative 12x. Do not forget, negative sign. Negative 12x divide 12x. So negative 12x divide 12x. Negative 12 divided by positive 12, that would be negative 1. Once again, class, negative 12 divided by positive 12, that would be negative 1. X divided by x, same exponent, simply cancel x. So therefore, that would be negative 1. Close parentheses. Alright, and then check this one out, class. We have a perfect square. 4x squared is a perfect square. And then 1 is also a perfect square. So therefore, we can apply the difference of two squares. Alright, so therefore, simply copy 12x. And then put 2 parentheses. Alright, and then simply get the square root of the first term, the square root of 4x squared. So the square root of 4, that would be 2. And then the square root of x squared, that would be x. So we have 2x and then 2x. Simply get the square root of the second term, the square root of 1, that would be 1. And then 1, put plus and minus sign. That's it, class. All set. This will be our answer, class, with regards to example number 5, including 12x. So therefore, class, we have 3 factors. First factor is 12x. Second factor, that would be 2x plus 1. Our third factor, that would be 2x minus 1. So once again, class, include this one, class. First factor, 12x. Second factor, 2x plus 1. Third factor, that would be 2x minus 1. Alright, so let me just write the answer here. So our first factor, so let me just erase this one. We have 12x. The other factor, 2x plus 1. 2x plus 1. The other one, we have 2x minus 1. Therefore, we have 3 factors. Alright, so let's proceed now to example number 6. Our given, we have a squared b squared minus x raised to the power of 4, y raised to the power of 8. So once again, check first the first term. A squared is a perfect square? Yup, a squared is a perfect square. How about b squared? Is b squared a perfect square? Yup, b squared is a perfect square. How about x raised to the power of 4? Is x raised to the power of 4 a perfect square? Yup, x raised to the power of 4 is a perfect square. If the exponent class can be divided by 2, therefore class this is a perfect square. Once again class, with regards to the variable, if the exponent can be divided by 2, therefore class this is a perfect square. How about y raised to the power of 8? Can we divide 8 by 2? What's the answer class? 8 divided by 2. That's correct, that would be 4. So therefore, if we can divide the exponent by 2, therefore this is a perfect square. Alright, so therefore, we can put 2 parentheses. So, 2 parentheses. And then simply get the square root of the first term, the square root of a squared, that would be a. And then the square root of b squared, that would be b. And then put plus and minus sign. And then the square root of the second term, the square root of x raised to the power of 4, that would be x squared. Now, you'll be asking questions, sir, why is it x squared? Once again, class, you'll be asking questions, sir, why is it x squared? Let me just explain that one, class. A square root of x raised to the power of 4, in every square root, class, understood that the index is 2. Once again, class, in every square root, understood the index, class, this one right here is what we call the index. The index is 2. Now, we can write this one, class, as x raised to the power of 4 over 2. Okay, once again, class, this index will be the denominator, and this 4 right here will be the numerator of the fractional exponent. So, it will be quite confusing, class. Just remember that one, class. Just remember this one, class. The square root of x raised to the power of 4, understood that there's 2 here, simply divide this one, class. 4 divided by 2, that's why we have x squared. Okay, that's why we have x squared. 4 divided by 2, that's why we have x squared. So, understood that there's 2 here. And then the square root of y raised to the power of 8, simply divide that one, plus 8 divided by 2. Therefore, the answer is y raised to the power of 4. So, this will be y raised to the power of 4. This will be y raised to the power of 4. That's the thing there, class. Do not make things complicated, class. Once again, class, understood the index here is 2. 4 divided by 2, that's why we have x squared. 8 divided by 2, that's why we have y raised to the power of 4. Because check this one out, class. The square root of a squared, our answer is a, right? Because understood there's 2 here. 2 divided by 2, we can just simply cancel that out. That's why we have a. Once again, class, if I will say the square root of b squared, our answer is b, right? Because the index here is 2, we can just simply cancel this out because 2 divided by 2, that would be 1. We can write this one b raised to the power of 2 over 2. 2 divided by 2, that would be equals to b raised to the power of 1. Okay, this will be equal to b raised to the power of 1. That's the same with b. Just don't make things complicated, class. The square root of a squared, that would be a. The square root of b squared, that would be b. The square root of x raised to the power of 4, simply divide this one. 4 divided by 2, that's 2. The square root of y raised to the power of 8, simply divide this one. 8 divided by 2, that would be 4. That's why we have x squared, y raised to the power of 4. I hope it's clear for you, class, with regards to example number 6. So our answer, we have ab plus x squared, y raised to the power of 4. The other one, we have ab minus x squared, y raised to the power of 4. All set. All set, class. That's the answer, class, with regards to example number 6. Alright, let's have last example, class. Alright, so we're down to the last example, class. Example number 7. Our given, we have 2x raised to the power of 4 minus 162. Now, is 2 a perfect square? Nope, 2 is not a perfect square. Same with 162. This is not a perfect square. So, we need to find the greatest common factor of 2 and 162. That's correct. That would be 2, right? And then simply divide this one. 2x raised to the power of 4 divide 2. So 2 divided by 2 is 1. Cancel this out. So that would be x raised to the power of 4. So this is x raised to the power of 4. And then negative 162 divide 2. Once again, negative 162 divided by 2. That would be negative 81. Okay, so this is negative 81. Alright, and then close parenthesis. Can we factor this out now? Yup, this is a perfect square. And 81 is a perfect square. So copy 2. And then put 2 parentheses. And then simply get the square root of the first term, the square root of x raised to the power of 4. Once again, understood that there's 2 here for the index. Simply divide the exponent by the index. 4 divided by 2. That would be 2. So that would be x squared. And then x squared. And then plus and minus sign. The square root of 81, the square root of the second term, that would be 9. So 9 and then 9. Is that our final answer, class? Nope, this is not yet our final answer because we have difference of 2 squares. This is a perfect square and then this is a perfect square. So therefore, copy this one. We have 2 parentheses x squared plus 9. Now we have minus sign. First term is a perfect square. The second term is a perfect square. So we need to put another 2 parentheses. The square root of x squared, that would be x. The square root of 9, that would be 3. Copy, plus, and minus sign. Okay, once again, class, I hope it's clear for you, class. We still have another difference of 2 squares. This is a perfect square. This is a perfect square. In this scenario, class, we cannot apply difference of 2 squares because this is plus sign. We can only apply if we have minus sign. And then the first term is a perfect square. The second term is also a perfect square. So that's why we can still simplify this one. Our answer, we have x plus 3 and then x minus 3. Is this our final answer? Yup, this will be our final answer. So we have 2. Quite complicated, right? For number 7, we have 2. X squared plus 9. The other one, we have x plus 3. The other one, we have x minus 3. So therefore, we have 4 factors. 1, 2, 3, and then 4. All set. All set, class, with regards to example number 7. So how about you try this one, class? You try this one, class, and then you put your answer on the comment section down below. Let me check, class, if you really understand our topic. So once again, class, I hope you learned something new today. If you like this video, do not forget to like, share, and subscribe. You share it to your friends and to your classmates so that we can help more students. Once again, this is Teacher MJ. Have a great day, class. Goodbye for now. Bye-bye.